Hi everybody, I'm Pastor Victor Acuña and I work for both Springville Church as well as Western Spanish Church. I was asked to share my testimony as to what the Lord set in my heart to do from the beginning of March 2020 when the coronavirus started to spread in Australia. I am here to thank the Lord and to praise the Lord for what He has done in both Springville Church as well as Western Spanish Church. Early on in March 2020, I started to share with both of my churches, with my church members, the need to reinvent ourselves to be a new way of doing church, because there would be many months in which we would not be able to go back into our church buildings. And so, if we waited for coronavirus to go away, we would have become irrelevant to both our community of believers as well as our community at large. There was an incredible amount of work to do, sometimes 18-hour days. And I thank the Lord because He has provided every time He needed to. There was so much learning to do in just so short a time to learn about media ministry and to learn about so many things that I needed for both of the churches. Now, if you had asked me, in the beginning of 2020, what would I have been doing in this year, I would have said to you the same thing that I did last year. But I would have never imagined that right now, my ministry, and even within just a few weeks in March, my ministry would be almost 100% online. Now, for this, I immersed myself completely into online ministry in both of my churches. And even though I was making mistakes, I was telling my church members, see what I'm doing? You can do it too. You can make mistakes like me. And if I can do it, you can do it too. Just sharing with me. Now, both of the churches that I have are different. They have different demographics. In Springville Church is in English. In Western Spanish Church is in Spanish. And like I said, Western Spanish Church has more youth than Springville Church. And so, the moment that I announced that we could use Zoom in Western Spanish Church, they really took into it enthusiastically. In Springville Church, at the same time, we had to transition our church in a few more weeks into online ministry by also helping the elderly to learn how to do it with the media. Now, the 11 a.m. services for both churches, and both churches have their own individual YouTube channels for this. Now, at Western Spanish, I set up the channel, and I was being like a one-man band, and my family was helping me, my wife and my two beautiful daughters, and they were helping me with camera work, as well as doing the music, as well as editing. And in Springville Church, there was already a YouTube channel set up, being run by David Flory, which I continue to use throughout the year. Now, in Western Spanish, like I said, they very quickly got on to many things, so much so that they took on more and more during the year. And right now, for the last few months, they've been running themselves, even paying for the Zoom accounts themselves, and for other things as well, to produce ministry through Zoom that is multi-stream to Facebook as well as YouTube. Now, at the end of this year, in Western Spanish, we would have had 5 campaigns, 5 missions, 5 outreach missions, with 5 different speakers from different countries, from Colombia, Peru, the Dominican Republic, as well as the US of A. And sometimes we've even had over 2,000 views in just one single sermon. Now, at Springville, we're still learning, and we're still engaging with it, and people are being enthusiastic about it. And so much so that in the last few weeks, on the 10th of October, we actually did a Zoom communion service that we multi-streamed to Facebook as well as YouTube. And so here today, that is why I am here to thank the Lord and to praise the Lord for the wonderful ministries that He has produced in both the Springville Church as well as Western Spanish Church.